We got a little FC Barcelona going
Okay. You know, you're
for the spirit.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought I was gonna leave your client. All right, everybody get up running? We good? Good? All right, Bob, good start. Yeah, well, we saw it, and Mike mentioned, Nick had his finger taped up. I guess, how's he doing? Is he okay for the tour?
Yeah, I think with Nick right now, it's just day by day. He'll go back to the doctor on Friday. And sorry, that's me. Please don't find me. He'll go back to the doctor Friday, get reevaluated, and might play, might not. We'll just see with the doctor, and then obviously before we play a game, we still have some days, so just have to see how the swelling is, and that'll be up to Nick, the doctor, and Matt.
How do you, which day did he hurt it, and what happened?
He heard it 2 days ago. Yeah.
And, so is Ricky Council's birthday today?
Ricky Council's birthday.
My keen reporting instincts kicked in when you guys were singing "Happy Birthday." Some of the guys said last week. I think it was Nick that said, "Man, I thought I was an athlete till I saw Ricky." What do you think about Ricky's athleticism? And I guess he slapped the backboard. We noticed that in practice last week, and bent the rim, but I guess it retracts back. Just what do you think about his athleticism, what he can do around the rim?
Yeah, no, Ricky's a great athlete. He adds a dimension to our transition break as a three-man that can make a feet set three and can also, catch and finish lobs. He's a good basket cutter. He's a high-volume free throw attempt player. Defensively, we want him to continue to improve and evolve because he has the tools to be a really, really good defender. But athletically, he'll be, in the top percentile of our league for sure. And our league's as athletic as any league in the country, probably the most athletic league in the country. So you're talking about one of the best athletes across the board collegiately right now.
I guess when you were scouting him, watching him on tape, did you realize did he show that kind of athleticism at Wichita, and how attractive was that to you to say, hey, we want a guy who's that athletic?
Yeah, we saw the athleticism for sure. Obviously, we had Trey Wade to bounce ideas off of how we could use him, how Trey felt that he would fit in here. But from an evaluation standpoint, I think you could see the ability to draw free throws attempted and the quick first step off the bounce and the finishing ability in transition.
Two practices now, the intensity seems really high in what you guys are doing. Is that typical for July spilling into August? Is it mainly because of this extra time and games coming up? Or
No, I think, Kevin, if you guys were able to come into any practice, I mean, today was probably a 6 on a 10 for a normal. We do, even when we're in our normal 4 hours prior to preparation for this, we practice. Our goal is to have everything in by September 1, and then go back in September and October and clean things up and maybe add a little bit. But right now we have 3 press breaks. We have, I think, 5 zone offensive sets in. We have, I think, 19 to 20 half-court sets, 7 baseline out-of-bounds plays, 3 different ways to defend the pick and roll. So we have a lot in. It doesn't mean that we won't be sloppy with our execution. But when we come back in September, we're not going to have to slow down to teach. They know where to go. We do need some guys to maybe learn 2 positions instead of just 1, and then there's a handful of guys that we'll need them to learn 3 positions. But today was as tired as I've seen our group, to be honest, because the 10 practices is unusual at this time of year, obviously, unless you have a foreign tour.
Coach, you've talked a lot about the leadership of Devo and how important that is to this team. I'm curious what you've seen in terms of the evolution of his game.
Yeah, I mean, Devo's, right now he's a guy that, a big word is like who you going to trust in a game. and he's earned our trust. Obviously, the role that he had as a freshman on an Elite Eight team, his role increased as the stakes rose. I think about the steal that he had at Kentucky and some of the stuff that he did as a freshman down the last 15 games of the season and a really good sophomore year. And I know that he's one of the most experienced players in the SEC. Doesn't really matter what he does in the 4 games in Italy and Spain. I mean, he's the one guy that I have a really good comfort zone for who he is as a player. And certainly with all of our guys, we expect them to improve across the board. He's been putting in extra time shooting, needs to continue to improve as a shooter for sure.
In terms of the newcomers that you have you seen anybody emerge alongside of him, maybe as a voice or a tone setter in practice?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, each player kind of brings his own uniqueness to the team. Like Brazil's not an overly outward talker, but he does a great job of, if another player is playing the 4 or 5, just kind of on the sideline, buddy coaching, kind of in his own manner of delivery. From a voice inflection, it might not be really loud, but he does his little thing. And the Mitchell brothers, both those guys can be very vocal, mostly in a good way. But those 2 guys have an outward personality that's been really good. And Dunning, for a freshman, talks a lot. And obviously, Nick Smith is a really, really vocal guy.
I lost track of the number of push-ups you did today, but is that something you've always done as a coach, and what's the purpose behind that?
Yeah, well, I mean, with that perfect free throw, anytime we miss 2 in a row, we do push-ups. And my dad would do it, so I guess I took it off him. It was either planks or push-ups or sit-ups. My dad's thing was, the minute you can't demonstrate, get out of coaching. I'm not sure everybody buys into that, but that's the roof that I grew up under. So if our players are going to do push-ups, I should probably be able to, although was a little worried after that was a few extra push-ups than normal, and I was worried about my workman's comp and my left shoulder, whether that rotator cuff was going to pop back out or not.
Seen you guys, I guess, get in huddles like a football team and break huddles like a football team. I guess just why did you guys implement that? And I guess did you kind of take that from visiting with some teams in the offseason? Or I guess just kind of what's the genesis of that?
Yeah, just I was fortunate enough to spend a few days with the Carolina Panthers and got to speak at their retreat. They had a coaches retreat with their general manager and Matt Rule and their entire coaching staff. Really cool to be invited to that and to be able to, be a part of it and sit and listen to them in their discussions on leadership, on their discussions on how they wanted to conduct training camp. Got to sit in on their first meetings. I sat in, and took some things away. And one of the things I took away was the togetherness of a football team, especially in their individual breakout rooms. And just felt like, that was something new that we wanted to add that we've never done. Because we all know that, in a game, some guy might not be happy with his role or shots or whatever. And I thought the huddle ready break kind of adds a little bit of togetherness that you don't splinter. Never seen a basketball team do it, but we'll be doing it all year, hopefully. In games, I plan on doing it in games. Somebody strays, I don't know what the disciplinary actions will be, but I do like that.
And secondly, just what have your impressions been lately of Jalen Graham, and just maybe what may you want to see more from him? Just which areas?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen's a really good offensive player around the basket. The pace of practice, he has not missed anything. So that is maybe a change for him based on what he told us, maybe what his off seasons have been like in his prior years in college. His participation's been 100%, so that alone is a step in the right direction. You know, we want to continue for him to understand the pace of our culture. But he was one of the first guys to pass his mile time, and like I said, he's not been kicked out of practice. He passed his mile. He doesn't have a. We put our depth chart up the other day of the names in green were go guys, meaning you're still alive to start in the first game, and the guys that weren't in green, their names, those were guys that self-eliminated themselves from being rewarded a start. And we're still running the mile, some of the guys. Some of the guys still haven't passed. Ricky Council did pass today, so that's one less guy that has to run that thing. But yeah, Jalen's. I mean, we envision him being a guy that we can throw the ball to on the elbow, mid post, and deep post, and use him as an offensive threat because that's really his strength. He's pretty comfortable out on the floor too with dribble handoffs, and he's really good at faking DHOs and keeping it. Has a really good offensive spin move as well.
Maybe he says, and I missed it, but with Nick, is it like a sprained finger or like a little hairline thing, or what? Do you know what it is?
I just know he's day to day, and medically it's not a break. It's at one point it was like a ligament, and then with further testing, it's basically a deep bone bruise is what it is now. And our doctors were great. I mean, they X-ray, MRI, and as they gathered more information, it was just a deep bone bruise.
I guess you're doing so good. I forgot to ask you about your shoulder. I didn't even think about it when you're out there doing all those push-ups. So is the shoulder feeling 100%?
I will say that last week, I had Dave Rich strap my body with the bungee cord type things, the big, thick rubber bands, and I tried to do one push-up, so I've made incredible strides, Bob, in the last week.
I think you guys must have about 100.
Somebody said 90,
It was
so
10.
close.
It was a lot of tens. And then, hey, a lot of these foreign teams, are these like older guy teams, do you know, or late 20s, 30s? And
We might have to have a press conference with Riley Hall.
yeah.
Because I didn't schedule. I just told him, hey, this is where we want to go and get us as many games as you possibly can. Most teams only play 3 games. 4 games is one less than I would have wanted. At Nevada, we played 5, but it'll be good. It'll allow us to do some stuff that maybe we hadn't originally planned. One of the days now, we got an opportunity to maybe go to Switzerland real quick, but it would be on the day of the game. But it would allow us another country for our guys to visit. So not many programs can do a foreign tour in this short a time and be able to go to 3 different countries. But I don't know who we play.
Ricky, did you like him slapping the backboard? Maybe that's allowed in FIBA. And just how's he doing as an older guy? How's he doing from like a leadership standpoint, would you say?
Yeah, I think he's, I think for most of our new guys, it's like, all right, there's a lot of sets coming at us, a lot of defensive schemes, so it's a little bit harder for some of those guys to be real verbal at this juncture. Now, once we get back in September, I hope that through the 4 games of video that we'll be able to send to our guys and talk through that all the new guys will be a little bit more vocal. But right now, Ricky, as well as almost all of them, kind of leadership through effort, I guess is the best way of saying it. Yeah, he goes really hard. He attacks the rim when we go live, doesn't take plays off. Offense is a little bit ahead of his defense right now. But he should be a really good defender with his athleticism and his length.
Coach, how would you assess what you've seen from Ford, Pinion, and Dunning so far this summer? Is there anything in particular that stands out about those 3, or maybe an area of growth that you've seen from them so far?
Yeah, I think all 3 of those guys, I think that they're no different than most freshmen. They're going to have ups and downs, and we have a really good team. Like, there's no doubt we have a really, really talented team. We have a really deep team. And so they're probably trying to figure out, their way. I mean, they've been a part of college basketball for all of 9.5 weeks. So that's not very long. It would be very unfair to look at the 9.5 weeks with the way we do things, which is we do not go live very often at all. We do a lot of drills, a lot of football stations, 3-man stations, 4-man stations. They rotate. So I think that, we'll go through these 4 games, Curtis, and then get to – but I have Barry Dunning's, he's had some practices where I thought he was as good as anybody that we had out there. Very interesting with our former players that have come in and played pickup ball. Isaiah, Jimmy Witt, Mason, I think, and Dusty. Maybe not all of them, but they've all brought up that they liked playing with Barry. It was very, very interesting. He moved the ball. Joseph can really shoot the ball. Darian does a really good job of being, a competitor and attacking the rim off the bounce. So each of them gives, a really has a quality and a dimension, that they can provide for us. But again, I mean, it's kind of too early. With a freshman, especially with the transfer, you can go back and watch some tape, and you have a little bit more of a body of work.
Tweeted about the different FIBA rules and the differences in college and FIBA. Have the guys adapted well to that? And I'm curious, too, with like the shorter shot clock and the shorter time you have to get the ball across half court, if there's like a sample there where you can maybe analyze whether you guys playing a little bit quicker might be able to carry over maybe regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the rules, we've hit on it. They've seen that graphic. Obviously, some of the guys did some fun videos to try to, the videos were done, one, to educate the fan, but just as importantly to try for guys to have a little bit of fun. We didn't put all the videos out on the rules. But what it does is it kind of gets in their head what it is. But in practice, the only thing that we've adjusted to right now is just the ball. I think that the players, the media, my wife, everybody's going to be shocked at how many travel calls we have early on. My experiences with American players that have a really good first step, that's called at a high frequency against teams from the U.S. So I'll look for a lot of travels early, and then look for some adjustments. We're not going to go out here and work on tapping the ball off the rim because you're allowed to do it in FIBA because we got 4 games, and I really don't want any bad habits. So if we have an 8-second call in the backcourt, I'll probably get mad in the moment, but we're not going to really practice those rules. We got to stick to our rules that we have to play for 30 games that really count and really matter.
Maybe a little bit on the pace thing, 'cause, I mean, you have, 6 fewer seconds, a couple seconds?
Yeah,
fewer
no,
to
I
get the ball
think
across the
I
half?
think you'll see what it won't allow us to do is almost all of our sets are 8 to 12-second sets because they're NBA quick hitting NBA sets that are not 20-second development sets. So our sets won't be affected at all, but what will be affected is when our plays break down, what we get into is our open offense. So we will not get much practice in open offense because what's going to happen is it's going to be run the play, shot clock's at 2, and you got to go get something real quick. So I think it'll help us execution-wise get into our spots a little bit quicker, knowing that there's, the shot clock is significantly different. It'll maybe help our transition game. I think there'll be a big adjustment in game 1 for our guys to see how quickly that shot clock really is.
You mentioned the refs, and we talked about your national experience the other day. Do you work like these refs, like you would in a college game, or did you ever get technicals like when you were coaching international ball before?
Yeah, probably more technicals in international than normal. They're a little bit stricter on demeanor on the sideline.
And do you worry about, talk about home court advantage. You're in Europe. I mean, are the refs over there, do they kind of stick it to American teams, or do they call fair games? What is your experience been? Or?
I mean, we're not going to get any good whistles, but you know, again, we don't. I don't anticipate a lot of you know, fans. I don't know what it'll be like because I have, you know, these are two countries that I haven't played games in, so we don't know what the crowds will be like, and you got to learn to play through whistles anyhow. So, I mean, I think it'll be good for our guys to be outside of our own element and try to deal with whatever circumstances come our way, because our game days are going to be so different. I mean, one of the game days, we have brutal travel. I just mentioned the last game day, we'll probably go to Switzerland for 45 minutes to an hour to a mall over there. So that's not a normal game day situation. But, you know, we got to try to experience as many things as we can.
Obviously, these games don't count. Do you err on the side of caution if you feel like, well, the finger's not 100%? You know, I mean, he'll go on the trip, obviously, I assume, but you know, you wouldn't play him unless you're, you know, just positive.
Yeah, we're not going to play anybody if there's any fear of, you know. But again, it's a bone bruise, and so, you know, a lot of bruises are just, you know, pain tolerance, swelling, but we're not gonna play him unless he feels 100% and the doctor feels 100%.
I noticed he was doing the push-ups, which kind of surprised me if he had a bad finger.
It's hard to keep Nick down.
Yeah, he was working hard on, you know, on the side.
No, he's been working.